Hey, everybody, what is up? Hope you are enjoying your Saturday morning because, of course, this will hit Saturday morning, the 23rd of July, 2022. The Conquistador, Dave Height, and I, the Maestro, Kevin Crane, are getting ready to go check out Kansas live.
Woohoo!
Which we will have a full review of for you next week. Yes, it's at a fair. Don't
Deal
judge
with
us.
it.
Don't judge us.
We rock where we can, people.
That being said, the weekend edition, of course, as always, starts off with music. And we have another concert review for you because it is the summertime. It is full-blown concert season. So, of course, most of these weeks here, going into August, we will have a concert review for you. The Sonic Slam at Pierre's in Fort Wayne, Indiana, featuring Faster Pussycat, L.A. Guns, and the Tom Keifer Band, of course, Tom Keifer.
From Cinderella.
The lead singer of Cinderella, of course.
Ugh. You know, we get in there, and everybody always wants to be center stage. They're sardined in from the rail all the way back. We get in there 25 minutes before show start. We go to stage right, and Mrs. C gets right up on the rail. We're right behind her. Yeah, we're off to the side. But so what? Everybody comes over and performs to that side as well. It's great. And Mrs. C wound up getting a guitar pick from Faster Pussycat and just missed getting the trifecta from the other two bands.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit tricky to see the drummer, but you get a great view of everybody else, the frontline guys, the bass player, lead guitarist, and, of course, the lead singer. We did this before with Mammoth, WVH, and Dirty Honey, and it worked out perfectly. So we figured, why not do it again? And again, it worked out extremely well.
Yep. So happy with that. That's a nice little venue.
Yep. They have a couple good shows every year. Standing room only, unless you want to really shell out the big bucks, and then you go to an upper level.
Yeah. Where they've got a few seats, back, but
yeah, it's really good if you're willing to stand. Of course, after 4 hours, I had to take a break and move to the back, and that's when Tom Keifer decided to film everybody, and his hot blonde backup singer came right up
over to our side.
Yeah,
she was pretty.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in the back going, God fucking damn it! Every time.
Yep. So they posted the show, and on the side as they go, there's Mrs. C right at the rail and me right behind her.
Yep.
Our little moment of glory.
Yep. But overall, Faster Pussycat, much better than I expected. Much better.
I had no expectations for him and was very pleasantly surprised. Yes. Very enjoyable.
Very solid show. Very solid show from them. Then you move on to LA Guns. Again, another solid show from the Guns. They got almost an hour. Faster Pussycat got about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
LA Guns, again, a very interesting, eclectic mix of guys in that band.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Because I told you, I was completely fooled. I did not realize Tracy Guns was Tracy Guns.
See, I knew when they came out who he was. But you thought it was the bass player.
Yeah, because I was looking at the older guy. The bass player looked like he was Methuselah. I mean, he looked like he was about 90 years old.
Well, you couldn't tell.
He looked like he was 90 years old, David.
You did not.
God damn, he looked like a mummy who had just stripped off his wrap.
It was the freaking big old wide lens sunglasses he was wearing that made him look that damn old.
Oh, come on. The guitar player, the rhythm guitarist that he was playing with the whole night on our side of the stage looked like he was about 70 years younger than him. Don't tell me you didn't see that.
But I knew it wasn't Tracy. He was on the other side.
Tracy, the guy we talked about who had issues. a couple weeks ago with Heat out on the West Coast and actually performed a show in the bathroom of the venue with a video camera. I'm looking over at him and I'm like, that dude looks like he just came off an assembly line at Ford Motor.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like Tracy Guns, the legend, the West Coast heavy metal 80s legend.
But it was.
Yes, it was.
Damn, if he didn't, he can still play the damn guitar.
Brought out the violin.
Yep.
At one point, the
bow.
The bow, yep.
Playing that.
Yep. And then, of course, they ripped into the beginning of Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I was hoping for a full rendition.
That would have been spectacular.
But they just did the
just the
musical
intro. It was all right.
But of course, both Faster Pussycat and LA Guns both hit all the songs you expected them to.
Yeah, and that's what we were hoping for. That's what we got. They sounded good.
Yep.
It was not a disappointment like Bon Jovi was.
And then, of course, we move on to the Tom Keifer Band.
This is the reason we went to see Tom Keifer.
We're both huge Cinderella fans. We've seen them a couple times in the past. The full band.
Yeah.
Of course, they are no longer in existence. Jeff LaBar has passed away, but there were internal issues. There was contract issues with the record company.
Yes.
It's amazing to me
that
some of those bands from the 80s, Cinderella only had 4 albums. Skid Row only had 3 studio albums.
Yeah.
Those bands live on through us.
They do.
Get it?
And Cinderella got better with every album they put out.
So luckily, Tom Keifer did not disappoint. 14 songs, 10 of which were classic Cinderella tunes.
Yes.
We still nitpicked a little bit on the way home.
We did because there was one song that was enjoyable, but he could have left off and put on something else that would have been better.
When we were driving home on Hair Nation, we heard The More Things Change.
Yes.
And we wanted that one, and we didn't get that, but that's fine. He still gave us Falling Apart at the Seams, which I wasn't expecting.
Love that one.
Yep. Great rendition of Somebody Save Me. You could feel that was song 5 in the set. You could feel the energy in the crowd amp up when he started ripping into that.
Yeah, that was
the one where everybody started singing. Everybody started because they had technical issues early on.
Yeah, so Night Songs wasn't as crisp and sharp as it could have been.
Second song in, they did not have Tom Keifer's guitar plugged in properly, so he's playing a solo. Nobody can hear it.
Yeah, and he was not a happy camper at that point.
No.
But you could tell as they got it corrected, he started having some fun because the crowd was into it and he was feeding off of it.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep, and once you got past Solid Ground off his first solo album, that was it. Everything else after that was Cinderella's greatest hits.
Yep, starting as you mentioned, Falling Apart at the Seams, Last Mile, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. That could have easily been.
You knew it was coming, though.
I know, but you could have put the other one in there in its place.
But he's going to play that.
Yeah.
You know it was coming. You just have to deal with it.
Yeah. And then you got Shake Me, Shelter Me, one of my favorites. And then closing out with Gypsy Road.
Yep. Great show all around.
Awesome set.
And I don't know why, but I just was so into this show all the way through. I think I'll give Faster Pussycat a lot of credit for this, for setting the tone for the night and not coming out and laying a turd, which could have really
ruined the whole thing.
They came out full force, a ton of energy, great songs, sounded good. Then LA Guns followed them, same way. And then Keifer came through sounding really good. Not perfect, but really good.
Yeah, I couldn't have been happier with Keifer's vocals. I mean, we all know the issues he's had through the years.
Yep.
But he was solid. And my God, he did not leave anything on the table.
No, at one point, 2 points, didn't he just get on the ground
flat
screaming?
Out screaming.
And we're
I'm
sitting
like,
there going,
oh
my God, he's going to blow his voice. He's going to blow his vocal cords out again.
Yep, nope.
I have to give this 3.5 frenzies. That's how much
overall,
fun I had.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal night from start to finish. There was nothing disappointing.
Again, technical glitches
notwithstanding.
Right.
Overlooking that, everybody was just spot on, freaking awesome.
And by the way, if you guys ever go to a concert like this, a more intimate venue where it's standing room only, couple thousand people, borrow your neighbor's 8-year-old kid.
Because they will get everything.
There was a guy who brought his young daughter, had to be 8 or 9, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 10 at the most.
At most.
And they gave her a set list. She got every guitar pick from every band.
I think she got one of the drumsticks. Yeah, it was sickening.
I'm not telling you to go out and have a kid just for this, but borrow your neighbor's kid if you have to.
Take your niece or nephew.
There you go. There you go. Great show. If you get a chance, check out the Sonic Slam tour if they come by you.
Yes, very good. Very entertaining.
And this is coming from a couple guys who we got disappointed twice from Tom Keifer. Once because of COVID, and once because he did actually shoot his vocal cords out and had to
it wasn't blown vocal cords. He's had the polyps on there.
Right.
And then he had at one point, and I think when we were supposed to see him with Stephen Piercy from Rat, Keifer had like an inflamed esophagus or something that he couldn't sing. So,
yeah. And of course that one was very bitter for us because we drove all the way down to the venue and they only told us through email about 2 hours before the show.
They sent the email 15 minutes after we left because we had to leave to get there.
Yep.
And you didn't have the phone that was hooked up to the email.
Right. Yeah, we actually found out from somebody while we were eating dinner across the street before the show, saw the concert shirts we were wearing, and they said, "Oh, you guys were supposed to go see the Keifer Piercy show tonight, huh?" And we were like, "What do you mean supposed to?"
And said, "Yeah, we just made we had a 2-hour drive. They had an hour and a half, and they had gotten it through their phone halfway there where they saw it, and they decided to just come down and had dinner." And it was a bitter, bitter night.
Yeah, so even though Dave and I had seen Cinderella a couple times previously, we got hosed with Keifer a couple times, but now this was a bit of redemption. A bit of redemption.
Yes.
All right, time to move on to album and song reviews. Of course.
Let's do the songs first, shall we?
Dave's got an agenda. Okay. Sure.
No, I just thought we just did the concerts. Now let's ease into the album.
All right. You pick the song.
So let us begin with Skid Row's Tear It Down. This is the second song off the album.
The Gang's All Here.
So
coming out in October.
Yes. So the first one I was kind of lukewarm on. Wasn't that into, felt the singer was a little too generic. This one I got into a little bit more. It rocked out a little bit more, and he seems to be finding his way with the band. I kind of like this one a little bit better.
Yeah, I was kind of worried this week that we were going to have the same issues we had last week, where I ended up liking everything a lot more than you. Because last week, of course, Collective Soul and what else? King's X, of course, yeah. So I was like, oh, God.
Here we go again.
I'm really liking the Skid Row song, and Dave's probably going to hate it.
No, so I enjoyed this one. So And
again, these bands, Skid Row, Warrant, whoever you want to pick, Queensryche, they pick the vocalists who are closest to their former vocalists. Whether it's Jeff Tate, whether it's Jack Russell, in this case, Sebastian Bach. And this guy this song sounds a lot more like Sebastian Bach.
Sounds better on Tear It Down.
This sounded a lot more like old school, early 90s Skid Row.
Yes.
And I did enjoy it a lot. This
was a fun tune
but I
liked
listen to the title track a lot more than you too. So I am very encouraged by what I'm hearing so far.
Yeah. So I'm really hopeful that this is going to be a solid album when it comes out.
Yep. But of course, that's a couple months away. As far as the second release, Tear It Down, I give it a strong 3 frenzies.
Exactly on the money from me as well.
Yep. Tear it down. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, so good.
What's next?
All right, let's go into the Cult with Give Me Mercy off the Under the Midnight Sun album that will be coming out later this year. This one, I listened to it several times. The first time, I really wasn't a big fan of it. It just didn't jibe that well. It just didn't feel like the Cult. But the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. Still not over the moon, but I could listen to it.
Dave, you can't be over the moon. It's under the midnight sun.
I know. It's way under. Well, yeah, there you go.
Do you like how I did that? I
do.
Thought that was very
that was very
on my
clever.
Part. Yeah.
Very clever.
And of course, the Cult is
They're
your
one
band.
of my favorite
and we still
bands.
need to get out and
they
see
are
them
my
for you.
Bucket list band out there.
I keep an eye out. I'll let you know anytime we have a shot at going to see them because, of course, you have been more than accommodating to see some of my bands. Of course, that's another thing we got to talk about down the road, too, is that we are going to see Stone Temple Pilots.
Yes, we
just announced here locally, so that'll be coming up in September.
That will be coming up.
But back to the Cult.
Give
Me Mercy. I liked the guitar riff. I thought the guitar riff was catchy. I have to admit, though, I think the Cult seemed like Billy Duffy and Ian Astbury seem like they've lost a little bit of that punch.
Yeah, they didn't have the edge.
It seemed a little lazy, a little. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I was turned off of it initially, and it still didn't hit home. But I could have listened to it.
Yeah,
but it's still
one of the worst things that Spotify does. When, at least for me, when I listen to a song like this, they'll play at least 1 or 2 songs afterwards from the same band, and then you hear Firewoman, or you hear, one of the songs off of Love, right? You're like, it doesn't have the same energy. It sounds like the Cult has aged to the point where they don't have that punch, that kick, that drive anymore.
Yeah, that's what worries me.
So I feel bad. I can only give this right now 2 frenzies.
It's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Even though I could listen to it, it's still, for the Cult, it's only 2 because it is so below what I expect from them.
Yeah. And I remember having issues with their last album too.
Yeah.
Now, when they came back, they took a long hiatus, and when they came back and did Beyond Good and Evil, that album kicked ass. But now, again, we're going back 20 years.
I know. That's
because it's been very sporadic how they've put out music.
Yeah, they're very huge gaps between albums.
Yeah. I'd love to see them get Matt Sorum back and really get that classic Cult lineup back together.
That
the 3 of them,
beautiful.
The trio would be fantastic. Maybe he would,
give them that fire that they need.
Yep.
We could only hope. All right, third song, "Pointing at the Moon," David Lee Roth's latest single.
And Dave, when he came over tonight to record, as we are doing this on the 20th of July, I was looking up the lyrics for this song. I had listened to it probably half a dozen times. And I was trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about, because at the beginning, the first couple lines, it sounds like he's going down the road of paying tribute to Eddie Van Halen, and then it goes in a completely different tangent, and he sounds really bitter and mean and nasty to somebody.
Yeah.
He's just mad at somebody in this song, even though it's an acoustic song, and I loved the guitar. The guitar
was great.
Reminded me of one of his classic songs off Skyscraper, Damn Good. Another one where he dialed down the tempo.
Yeah, and just kind of, it almost felt like a lounge act type vibe.
But the lyrics are so interesting. I'm not saying they're great. They're interesting. There are lines in that song that are great. That are classic, especially at the end, where he basically, I'm going to paraphrase here, but he says, the words that we don't say, the angry words we don't say, are the shit that we end up singing, or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a very interesting turn of the phrase. And then he's sounding all bitter again about, you do business here too. What does that make you?
Yeah. What
I would love to know what he was thinking when he wrote this song. So that being said, it feels a little bit unfinished. It feels a little bit unfocused. I did think it's a little more interesting than The Cult, so I'll give it 2.5 frenzies.
That's about all I could give it as well.
Yeah.
It was just...
It's interesting.
It's interesting, but it's hard to figure out what the hell's going on.
Right. And that's David Lee Roth for you.
Yeah.
Interesting, hard to figure out. All right, that leads us to our album review. The new album from Journey.
Freedom. 15 songs. An hour and 13 minutes. It's a little long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little long. And it's very schizophrenic. Even for Journey. Journey, you expect one of those bands that's going to be, let me say, dependable. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on if we're talking about up-tempo or ballads.
Right. This I don't think we could say was dependable at all, because it was just kind of all over.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'll say. And again, I predicted I would like this more than you, but I still am very, very hesitant to recommend it because, again, it's very schizophrenic. It goes good, bad, good, bad, good, bad for a while. And then you get a really interesting middle run, starting with the way we used to be, which we reviewed a year ago.
Right.
When it was first released. The first single, The Way We Used to Be, was released, I think, back in June of 2021. Which, to me, still holds up as probably one of the best songs on the album.
Yes, that is one of the best songs on there, along with the next one, Come Away With Me.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. Come Away With Me. Then, if you take Afterglow out...
That is the worst song on the album.
If you take,
absolutely horrible.
I wouldn't say it's the worst. I'd say it's second worst.
Well, your worst is probably my second worst.
If you take that out, and you go from The Way We Used to Be, Come Away With Me, and then get into... I know you're not a big fan of Let It Rain, but at least it's a different, messy, rockin' song.
It is.
And then you get Holding On, kind of the same thing. All Day and All Night, and then even into Don't Go. That run from track 6 to track 12 is pretty solid. Again, taking out the dumpster fire that is Afterglow.
Yeah. Don't Go, I'm a little more of a
well, no, that's the weakest of the group, but at least it's still Journey trying to put a Journey song out there.
Yeah. And then they should have just ended with Don't Go.
Yeah, because the last 3 songs are not good.
No.
Not good at all.
No, not good at all.
Maybe United We Stand is tolerable.
No, not really.
But yeah, the last song, over 7 minutes. Beautiful As You Are is
God,
just... Yeah, that's kind of painful to deal with.
Yeah.
And the lyrics, the one thing Journey has never been known for are great lyrics.
But this was bad even for them.
Yeah. And then, of course, we jump back to the beginning. And again, that was the beginning's hit and miss.
I know. Together We Run should not have been the opener.
That's another, what I call a standard Journey song.
It is, but it should have been down. I would have swamped it out with You Got the Best of Me. You Got the Best of Me should have been the opening song, and then moved Together We Run down to there.
And then Don't Give Up on Us is pretty good.
Yeah.
But then Still Believe in Love.
It was meh.
Again, we're dealing with a band that did Open Arms, which is my worst song ever recorded next to Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life. You Light Up My Life, worst song ever. Open Arms, second. And then we get to Live to Love Again. Track 5 on this could be my third worst song ever.
I completely agree.
And you know why? You know why? Because I predicted this as I listened to the album. I got the booklet right here. Dave will attest to it.
Yep, I have it in my hands right now.
I did not look at the booklet. I did not look to see who wrote the songs. When I heard Live to Love Again, I said, that's got to be a fucking Jonathan Cain solo song. He wrote that song because Jonathan Cain is such a wussy songwriter. And I said, this has got to be a Cain only song.
Yep, and it is. Ugh. You
get Neil Sean involved. He's going to try to rock things up as much as he can.
Boost the tempo.
But Jonathan Cain is got to be the biggest snowflake songwriter ever.
Yeah, it's
not the minute I heard this dreck, this awful dreck, Live to Love Again, I was like, gotta be Jonathan Cain.
Yep.
Gotta be Jonathan Cain.
Yeah.
Now this is where Dave and I will differ on the overall review. Is it as bad as I have ripped on Afterglow and Live to Love Again and did not like Still Believe in Love?
Or the last 3?
I think the rest of the album is good enough to give it a weak 2.5 frenzies.
That's where I had it.
Okay.
A week, 2.5.
Because a lot of this stuff is pretty good Journey.
Yeah.
A lot of it is.
It is. You could have taken out 1, 2,
yes,
3,
again,
4, 5. You could have taken 6 songs off of here.
Still would have
had
been
a solid 9-song album.
Still would have been a full-length album.
At 9, acceptable. It would have been a 3.
And it would have been a lot tighter.
Solid 3.
A lot tighter and a lot better.
Yes.
Yes. And we've talked about this in the past on other albums.
Yep. Where you have to take them down because of what they put out.
Yep. But there are so many good songs on this as opposed to so many bad songs.
Yeah.
That, again, I agree completely with Dave. If we could have judiciously edited the album down by 4 or 5 songs.
Again, like we always say on the sports segment, we should run all sports. Musically, we should edit every album.
Yep. Because Journey bragged about this being a double album. Why? Don't brag up. Make it a good, solid, great single album.
Yeah.
Knock it down to 10 songs. It would have been, like Dave said, at least a 3 frenzies, maybe even 3.5, depending.
It would have been a borderline.
Right. Because there are a lot of good songs on this album.
There are.
But the way it is constructed, sequenced, 2.5 frenzies.
There you go, kids.
Next week, we will review the new Alter Bridge.
Yeah!
Yes! Pawns and Kings, the title track from the upcoming album of the same name. We will also review Black Paisley's Not Alone.
Something that popped up after one of our music reviews.
And a band that I have been wanting to listen to for a while. full album review of Devil's Train, Ashes and Bones next week for you. And, of course, a review of Kansas Live.
Yep. So stay tuned. Next segment coming up.
She walked into my office just as I was reaching for the bottle in my bottom desk drawer. Legs till Tuesday, lips like pillows. I want to hire you, she said, to find Sports Frenzy 2.0. Doll, I said, that would be the easiest case ever. Sports Frenzy 2.0 is on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, everywhere you listen to podcasts. She nodded to herself, sat down and smiled. I grabbed 2 glasses. Life was good. And so is Sports Frenzy 2.0.
Hey kids, welcome back. Segment 2 of the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0 here, July 23rd, as we record on the 20th. It is time for the movie reviews from the Maestro Kevin Crane.
And the Conquistador Dave Height.
And as always, you can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, now on Amazon, Audible, and Stitcher!
Don't forget to check out the Facebook page, especially for updates on the regular Sports Frenzy midweek podcast, including football picks, NASCAR picks,
baseball picks,
anything and everything to do with sports.
Drop us a line, leave us a message, suggest something for us to listen to or watch. We do take requests. But this week, our focus on movies, House of Gucci, Ridley Scott's epic.
Very impressive cast, including Al Pacino, Jared Leto, Lady Gaga,
Adam Driver,
Salma Hayek is in this.
Yep.
One of my personal favorite actors, Jack Houston, is in this. So you would think everything would be aligned for this to be an interesting movie.
Yeah, that's what you get for thinking, kids.
Yeah, we tried again to delve into the world of serious cinema. And
2 hours and 38 minutes and easily 38 minutes too damn long.
It's well acted. Now, I've seen reviews all over the place for this. People loved it, people who hated it, people who thought the acting was great, people who thought the acting was terrible. The writing was good, the writing was bad. I will say I thought the acting was very good.
I enjoyed the acting.
Jared Leto especially.
Leto was phenomenal.
Very even hard to tell it's him.
Yeah.
In the makeup. I thought Lady Gaga was really good.
She impressed the hell out of me in this one.
Pacino, you're getting Pacino. Adam Driver, solid. He's usually pretty solid.
Yep.
So it's not the acting, but the thing is...
It's the script.
Well, let me ask you this.
The pacing was awful.
In terms of a discussion point for this movie, Hollywood once again proves that all they care about are what they consider the sordid, tawdry tales of the rich and famous.
Yeah,
even when they're not all that sordid or all that tawdry. Because I really thought that this was a pedestrian story about what happened with the Gucci family.
Yeah, it just...
There's jealousy. There's backstabbing. Somebody ends up dying. Ooh. Somebody ends up going to jail.
All right.
How many... Dozens upon dozens of stories have we seen about this. Again, Hollywood is so obsessed with showing us commoners, us normal folk, the rich, the mechanics, the twists and the turns and the dramas behind the scenes of the rich and famous. I don't care. If it's not anything out of the ordinary, I don't care.
Yeah,
this shit could have happened in a trailer park in West Virginia. Honestly.
Easily. It could have. And I'm sorry, but after the murder, you suddenly cut to the end of a trial. You don't find out anything about the investigation and how they were caught.
Yeah, a lot of people complain about that. A lot of
you
people
just drop the freaking ball there. You tell everything in the story,
every
up to
little
that
detail,
point,
every little detail,
and then you drop the fucking ball there. Absolutely pathetic ending. It was bad. I mean, the movie was not great, but the ending was awful.
Yeah, and of course we get the obligatory at the end. Every one of the main characters, we get the little line underneath them, like Animal House. Yeah. I always think about Animal House when they tell you what happened to the main characters,
which was
with
fine
a line or
for
two
that.
at the end.
That was perfect for that. That does not compute. That just no.
And again, there is nothing unbelievably shocking, tawdry, overwhelmingly perverse or weird going on here.
No. It was just a very pedestrian, mediocre telling of the tale.
Yeah.
And it was too damn long, and they totally dropped the ball for the ending.
Yeah. And again, well acted. I'll give them all credit.
Yes.
All the actors and actresses for at least keeping, even, oh God, Selma Hayek's role. Jesus God. I know, again, it's a standard, stereotypical rich person thing.
Having to consult a psychic. Oh my God.
There's nothing about the story of the Guccis that jumps out that we haven't already heard or seen before in so many other stories, again, of the rich and famous.
Yeah.
Again, backstabbing, murder, criminal trials, people going to jail. There's nothing here that stands out. And I gotta point out one more thing that drives me nuts. Drives me fucking crazy. And I know he's from around here, and everybody around here loves him. Adam Driver. Why is it every movie I see him in now, they act like he's God's gift to women? He is one of the most unattractive men I have ever seen in my life. Yet they act like
goofball.
They act like he's fucking Paul Newman, Robert Redford, all wrapped up into one. Sorry, Adam, you're a fine actor. You're not a good-looking dude.
No, you're Mr. Mediocrity.
But they try to cast him like he is the be-all, end-all when it comes to attracting women.
Yeah, that's the problem I had with that medieval movie we reviewed.
Yes! Yes, The Last Duel.
Yeah, where he was supposed to be God's gift.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking of as well as this. All the women in the village thought he was the most stunningly handsome man in the world. You got Ben Affleck and Matt Damon over there. And you're all fawning over Adam Driver, who basically looks like a tall weasel.
Yeah, that's an apt description.
Dave and I are better looking than Adam Driver. You'll have to take my word for it because it's a podcast.
Damn Skippy.
But God damn it, we're better looking than him. Yet, the fact that all these women, now a lot of it in this movie has to do with the money. They all know.
Because he's Gucci.
But you think at the beginning that Lady Gaga's character is seeing past it when he comes.
Yeah, she's there.
To her house, asking for her father to forgive him, basically, for not having a job, not having a future, because he's been kicked out by his father, Jeremy Irons.
Yep.
Plays one of the matriarchs of the Gucci family. Or patriarchs, I'm sorry.
Patriarchs, yes.
And then he goes supplicating himself to her family, saying, I love your daughter. I don't have a future. Give me a job. And you're thinking, well, maybe she, even though Jeremy Irons says she's a bloodsucker, she wants your money.
Yeah.
That's all she's looking for.
Obviously not.
And it turns out later on, maybe
she is. Maybe she played the long game on that one.
And I'm still not 100% convinced if things had turned out differently, I don't think that was her end game.
No, she was trying.
I think part of her really cared
to put him where he needed to be, to give him the backbone to take control.
Which doesn't make her a money grubber.
No.
But at times you kind of wondered.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you know, when she gets cut out, then she goes, okay, now I'm pissed.
Jilted wife.
Right. Right. And again, Lady Gaga does an unbelievable job. She's really good in this. I did not see A Star Is Born, so I don't know. I know she got massive praise for that role.
Yeah.
But she's really good in this.
For sure. Despite the acting, the movie just lacked. I had the discussion with Mrs. C after we watched it.
How'd she feel about it?
Her rating,
the female perspective.
She gave it 1.5.
Wow. Wow. She liked it even less, at least than me. I was going to give it 2 frenzies.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very weak 2, almost down to a 1.5. But yeah, she was very critical of it for the pacing. It's just so damn slow, and she hated the way it ended. Just going from the murder to basically the end of the trial and telling who got what and the wrap up. She felt that was a complete cop out.
Yeah, I will give the acting just enough credit to push it up to 2. So I'll go 2 frenzies with that.
There we go. Don't rush out to see it. If you got nothing better to do and you want to fall asleep, then maybe give it a shot.
And of course, it is free on Amazon Prime, even though they're not promoting it. Right. Which again, I found odd.
Well, now I know why they're not promoting it so
because
much.
It is a movie that made over $50 million at the box office.
I don't know why, though.
You get the artsy-fartsy crowds in New York and LA that will push a movie like that. Just like last week, my review of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Another one that the art house crowds loved and pushed, and I saw it and I went, Honestly, I couldn't tell you what was better between that and House of Gucci.
Wow.
They're that close in terms of my ratings.
There you go, kids.
2 completely different movies, but
both are meh.
Yeah. Next week, Dave and I will be reviewing The Gray Man.
Yes.
As our movie review of the week.
Forward to
from
this one.
Netflix with Ryan Gosling and Chris Pine. We do not have a book review this week, but I do have some book news. Something that Dave and I and Mrs. C, one of our panelists on Sports Frenzy, discussed. We were talking about last week's big release in the movie theaters, Where the Crawdads Sing. And, of course, the news that came out that the author, Delia Owens, is now wanted for questioning in a murder in Africa from the 1990s. A poacher got shot and killed, supposedly by her stepson.
Interesting, since she's the big environmentalist over there trying to study the animals and everything. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, going back a long, long time back to the 90s, but her and her husband are both wanted for questioning because of possibly covering up the stepson killing this poacher. And supposedly no details given other crimes.
Yeah, there's a lot coming out about her. And
this would not be the first time an author of a big breakout hit
has
gotten
had
into trouble.
Issues. Yeah. And it's the reviews of the book are very schizophrenic. Some people absolutely fawned over the book. Oh my God, it's wonderful. It's this, that, and others have picked it apart for the, dare we say, unbelievable premise of the girl raising herself in the middle of nowhere and all the pros through. Yeah, to me, I had no desire to see it at all.
No. Well, number one, it's a chick flick.
You know, when I first heard about it,
audience.
No, we are not. But in discussions with my coworkers at the library, when it first came out and we were discussing girl in the back bayou wants to find love type thing. Yeah, it just didn't jibe. It kind of felt like Nell meets Cinderella. I don't know.
Well, again, we are not the target audience.
No.
It's like asking Oprah to
break down the NFL.
Put a Lucas Davenport novel on her book of the month. Lucas Davenport and Virgil Flowers.
There you go.
Here you go, ladies.
Ain't gonna happen.
Sports Frenzy, book of the month.
Yeah.
Bloody
not gonna
mess
happen.
That is the latest Prey novel by John Sanford. Lots of cursing, swearing, sex.
Yeah. But I've talked to many females who did not like Where the Crawdads Sing and do not even want to watch the film.
And just remember, all you publishers, Amazon, Oprah, all of you out there, men read books too. We like books. We can read.
We are literate.
So every book doesn't have to be a story about female empowerment or looking back at racism or sexism.
Sometimes we just want a damn good shoot-'em-up mystery.
And Dave and I will
or even a decent historical family saga.
Like a James Lee Burke novel would be sometimes. Now, of course, Dave next week has promised me he has got a review.
Yep.
Of a good old-fashioned detective shoot-'em-up.
Yep, going back old school.
Yep, a book that I just got a hold of. I will not be ready for the review yet, but
I will keep it generic enough for you. But yeah, thoroughly enjoy this series, and this book is not
David
disappointing.
Baldacci's Archer series, of course.
Yep.
The latest book in that is what we're talking about.
Yep, so stay tuned for that next week, kids.
A couple weeks down the road, we will have a review of James Lee Burke's latest.
We will. I just picked it up today, and as soon as I finish Baldacci's Archer novel, I will begin on Burke. And we will be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, but at my pace, I'll be ready to review it early 2023. Just kidding. Of course, I am going to also review Chrysalis from Lincoln Child here in the next couple months. So,
yep, I will have to get a hold of that.
I'm also Jeremy Logan.
Yep, I'm looking forward to Nelson DeMille's latest John Corey as well that I've been dying to get to.
So,
we got some books coming up, kids.
Yep. But next segment is, of course, TV and streaming. I've got a couple reviews of season finales for you. And then
we got the vampires from last week.
Moments of silence. And then, of course, our Red Foreman dumbasses of the week. So hang out, stay tuned. One last segment coming here on the weekend edition with Dave and Kev. Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are two things I do not like people talking about in my presence. Namely, my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now, there is a third thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys, Kev and Dave, will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth. All right, kids. Final segment, Weekend Edition, Sports Frenzy 2.0. This will hit Saturday morning, July the 23rd, 2022, just in time for us to tell you what to watch, what to read, what to listen to on your Saturday evening and all day Sunday. I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
We've talked about music. We've talked about movies. Now it's time to talk about TV and streaming. I have 2 shows on Paramount Plus that wrapped up here recently that I need to talk about, and they are 2 really good shows. First up, the show that Dave knows a lot about because he read the books that the show is based on. CJ Box. The show is Joe Pickett. Season 1 wrapped up here recently on Paramount Plus. I have to say, very impressive. Very, very good show. I do think they dragged the finale, the climax out a bit too much. It almost seemed like 3.5 episodes.
Oof, that's not good.
I was kind of wondering, well, what are they going to do? They're going to do 8, 9? How many episodes are involved here? I don't like to look and see how many total episodes. I don't look for spoilers. I don't want to see anything that's going to ruin anything for me. So I just go with the flow. And it looks like after episode 7, I'm like, well, maybe they're only going to go 8. And then after 8, you go, well, they can't go any farther than 9, right? And then 9, they go, okay, they're going to go 10. So they did kind of drag it out a little bit more than I thought they would.
I hate when that happens.
Now, Joe Pickett Season 1 is based on the first 2 books in CJ Box's series.
Fine too, but whatever.
Now, that being said, we talked about great acting last segment in House of Gucci, even though the movie itself wasn't really all that good. I have to give props to Michael Dorman, who plays Joe Pickett. I thought he, again, without reading the books like you did, I thought Michael Dorman did a fantastic job of sucking me in and liking Joe Pickett.
In the books, Joe Pickett is just an ordinary guy. He's nothing special. Just Mr. Average Joe who goes about his business. Can't shoot a pistol to save his life, but he's hell on wheels with a shotgun. He's not going to overwhelm you. He'll get his ass handed to him and still do his best to do the right thing.
Yep, Joe Pickett is a game warden in Wyoming. And
honest as the day is long.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say is that it seems like in season 1 of the show, and you can back me up if the books are the same way, outside of his family, just his wife and his kids, not even talking about his mother-in-law.
Oh, the bitch from hell.
Everybody around him is corrupt.
Oh,
everybody around him has got an agenda. They're evil. They're corrupt. They will stab somebody in the back for $1.
Yeah, that about wraps it up.
And that vibe definitely comes through in the show. David Alan Grier stars in it. Now, we talked about it. I told you some of the things from the show, and you weren't 100% happy because they do the checkbox politically correct thing with some of the characters. But that being said, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Looking forward to season 2. I will give Joe Pickett a strong 3 frenzies.
There you go.
Again, if they hadn't dragged out the climax as much as they had, I could have probably gone 3.5.
Yeah. Someday, it's a book series I would recommend for you. If you liked the TV series based on what you told me. I think you will absolutely love the books.
Now, doing a complete 180 from a game warden in Wyoming to Federation Starship Enterprise. The first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds wrapped up this past week. 10 episodes. I have been praising this show because of the fact that it stays away from the PC bullshit that the previous Paramount Plus Star Trek shows have shown.
Picard in particular.
Picard and Voyager. You know, they can't wait to shove their politically correct agendas down your throat at a moment's notice. The great thing about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, it's basically going back, patterning itself after the original series. Except you don't have Kirk, you have Pike.
Right.
Of course, anybody who's watched Star Trek, the original series, knows Christopher Pike meets a very tragic, not an end, but an accident.
Yeah.
That incapacitates him. The premise of Star Trek Strange New Worlds is that Pike has found out that he is going to die in 10 years. He knows, well, he's not going to die. He's going to go through this horrific accident, disfigures him, leaving him incapable of communication. So he's going through the first season knowing that his fate is sealed. But he's still leading the Enterprise crew on all these different missions. Again, much more reminiscent of the old show, which I loved and appreciated. Now, I will say this. And again, I know Dave's not a Star Trek guy. Probably a lot of you out there are Star Wars people. I
appreciate it. I enjoyed the original series.
The season finale last week, A Quality of Mercy, episode 10. One of the greatest episodes of any TV show I've ever seen in my life. Literally unbelievable. Because what happens is, no spoilers, what happens is, in episode 1, he somehow found out about his fate. I think there was some kind of a Vulcan powder or something that enabled him to see into the future. So in episode 10, A Quality of Mercy, he is visited by his future self. Because at the beginning of the episode, he finds a loophole. He finds a loophole. Because the whole reason he gets disfigured and horribly scarred and incapacitated for life is he's trying to save a bunch of cadets on a Starfleet mission. A bunch of young teenage cadets. And he ends up meeting one at the beginning of episode 10. And he starts constructing a letter to this kid saying, you do not want to sign up for Starfleet. Find another path in life. And the minute he starts writing this, his future self appears to him.
Don't do it.
And Pike, current Pike, of course, Anson Mount. I love Anson Mount from Hell on Wheels.
Oh, Anson Mount is awesome.
Current Anson Mount tells future Anson Mount, well, I guess I'm doing the right thing because obviously I survive. If you're sitting here, 20, 30 years older, I'm not disfigured. I'm not incapacitated. And the guy, the older version, tells him, you don't understand the repercussions of your actions. And he holds out this box and he says, this is like a Klingon crystal, a Klingon time crystal. Touch this and you will see what the future holds if you send that message out. And so, of course, he does, and he ends up still being in charge of the Enterprise years later, but then they get into something with the Romulans, and he meets James T. Kirk, who, of course, is supposed to end up becoming the captain of the Enterprise.
Right.
So you get all these time conundrums going on, and it's very reminiscent of the Wrath of Khan, in that he has to make decisions that have repercussions involving the lives of the people he cares about the most. So while he selfishly might save himself and the cadets,
he's
by going down this other path, he risks a lot of other lives by going down this other path. And it's just so moving and so fantastically written. It was literally, again, one of the best episodes of television I've seen in a long, long time.
Very cool.
They give you a little bit of a cliffhanger involving something else, involving his first officer, who is Rebecca Romaine, plays his first officer, and she gets roped into something else at the end. So they give you something
to hook you for next
a cliffhanger. But now Pike knows. They give you the definitive. Pike knows he cannot alter his future. He is going to have to go through his face melting accident coming up in a few years. That's going to end him in terms of his command. It's just awesome. Awesome.
Very
Star
cool.
Trek Strange New Worlds, 3.5 frenzies. Great first season.
Nice.
Other TV and streaming news. Again, make Dave jealous. Another Paramount Plus. I seem like I'm shilling for Paramount Plus.
Yeah, what kind of money are they giving you?
$5 a month. That's all it costs me. If they want to start competent, I'm cool with that. August the 4th. I've already reviewed Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Now the series begins.
Older and not much wiser.
Cannot wait for Beavis and Butthead the series. The spinoff from The Boys coming soon. The college spinoff. The young superheroes, the young soups, will be officially called Gen V.
Gen V. Oh my. Let's just, who am I kidding? It's college kids. Of course there's going to be a lot of debauchery.
Yeah, let's hope they don't tone it down. As we were at
what kind of keg stand are we going to have?
Yeah, we were at a party this past weekend, speaking to some older people, including one of our panel members.
Yeah.
And we said, no, maybe this boys thing isn't for you.
Yeah,
might be a little too much.
I think you want to go there. Yeah.
I reviewed Breeder Season 3 last week. They have renewed it for Season 4, so I guess I will find out. Yeah, I guess I'll find out what happens with this dysfunctional family over in England.
There you go.
And then finally, I don't want to put this in a moment of silence, but this would be a good segue, I guess.
Probably would be.
Not a good segue, but
a segue.
A crew member on the cast or on the set of Law and Order Organized Crime shot and killed a few days ago.
That was sad news. He was there early to prevent people from parking as security, just to make sure the street was ready to go for filming to begin. And he was pretty much the victim of, who knows?
Was it a random act?
Was he targeted?
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot more, other than they did see somebody running away from the scene. But you would think in this day and age, with all the cameras everywhere, especially somewhere like New York City,
yeah, that they would have something on it. But scary stuff, kids.
All right, moving on to our moments of silence. Unfortunately, kind of a bad segue. But a couple, of course, number one, Ivana Trump, ex-wife of our former president.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
falling down the stairs. Massive internal injuries.
And I'm going to say this, it's going to make me sound un-Maestro-like, but you have got to be aware of your grandparents, your elderly parents. You have got to make sure their houses, they have guardrails, They have everything they need to move around their house as safely as possible. We see the commercials all the time and we kind of dismiss them, but the commercials are right. Elderly people are killed by falls
more often than anything else
because it's too hard for them to get around once they get into their 70s and their 80s. So please make sure the elderly people in your life are taken care of in that respect. Because Dave and I eventually, when this podcast wraps up in 50 years, we will be one of those people.
Speak for yourself.
What, you think you're going to outlive 100? I said 50 years. I gave you 50 years, and you think 100?
Why the hell not?
Oh, Jesus. It's a Sports Frenzy 2050, baby! 2070!
Damn Skippy, baby.
And we're going to start ripping on Juan Soto, who's still playing at 54 years old once I get my teeth back in.
You never know, kids. Healthy living and a clean mind.
You might have the healthy living part. The other moment of silence I have this week, kind of a bizarre one. Mark Fleischman, who was the owner of Studio 54. Anybody who remembers the disco era, like us old people do. Studio 54, of course, in New York City was the mecca for disco.
And debauchery.
The thing is, Mark Fleischman went overseas and died of assisted suicide.
Ow.
Didn't want anything more to do with it. I don't know what kind of pain he was going through, but yeah, he went overseas and died of assisted suicide. So,
yikes.
All right, kids.
Well, I have one kind of off the beaten path. Do you remember the show Soap?
Of course I do. Soap was awesome. Billy Crystal.
Yep.
Richard Mulligan.
Rebecca Balding, who had a recurring role as Carol David on the show, has passed away. She was also on Charmed.
I hope you talk about the first version of Charmed and not the...
Yes, the first version.
The PC version that, again, the CW recently axed because they're getting rid of all the PC garbage that they never should have put on the air in the first place.
Yeah. No,
but Soap was great. Soap was awesome.
It was ahead of its time.
It was. It was.
Big time.
Now, the one thing that I never got was the whole puppet thing.
That was a little bizarre.
That was a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's where Robert Guillaume got his role of Benson as the spin-off show, which became much more popular.
Right. Yep. Soap was a great show. Very funny show.
Yep. Vastly underrated.
Yep. All right, moving on. Moments of silence are done. Time for our pivot.
Pivot to the dumbasses.
Dumbasses of the week. Got a few here. Let's start off with Sesame Street. Or should I say Sesame Place?
Sesame Place.
The Sesame Street-based amusement park.
Yes.
In Philadelphia, where there are claims of racism because the character Rosita did not hug two African-American children as they ran a parade. Here's my question, and this is why it really, really begs for somebody here to be a dumbass. Now, number one, I heard that later on, Rosita did hug other black children. But how do you know, with the big mask and costume on, who the hell is underneath the costume? How do you know it's not a black person?
You don't.
My question is, how do you start freaking out claiming racism before you even know who the hell, number one, was in the costume behind the mask.
Now, was it during the parade? Were there children being hugged beforehand? Because I know during the parades and things, they just keep marching on. They don't necessarily always stop. They have the time and place for everything.
Part of the misinterpretation is that this Rosita character was waving like she was saying no to the black children as she walked past. When other reports are saying she was waving no to somebody in the crowd, I've heard it could have been somebody who worked at the park wanting something from the character. I've heard it could have been somebody who wanted to take a picture with the character. You do not take pictures of the characters during the parade.
Right.
So there's a lot
of going on, and you're not getting the full story in this story.
So once again, everybody jumps to judgment, including George Floyd's lawyer had to get in this.
What the hell does he have to do with it?
Because anytime he can stir the pot of racism, he's going to do it now. And one of Kelly Rowland, one of the singers from Destiny's Child, had to jump in on this.
She hadn't been relevant in how long?
By watching the fucking video. Again, not
how about
knowing...
we do some research and learn the entire thing?
Is underneath the costume.
How about we delve into more than just the little 20-second clip that's shown?
Again, brilliant words from the conquistador. Do your research. Pause for 5 or 10 minutes before you send out the comment on social media.
Let's get the full story.
Sticking with theme parks. The Icon Park in Orlando has shut down the Bullseye Blast because it has been deemed insensitive. The Bullseye Blast involves basically riders going up on the wheel, basically a big Ferris wheel.
Okay.
With laser guns and trying to shoot targets when they got up to the top of the Ferris wheel.
What's wrong with that?
Again, insensitive.
To what?
You're promoting people shooting like snipers. I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
That's stupid.
I don't know if one of the things they were shooting at was an image of Nancy Pelosi. I don't know. I would think that would make that the most popular ride in the country.
No kidding.
But that's just me. Yes, but the Bullseye Blast got shut down
that is
because...
dumbass central right there. I'm so sick of this crap.
You better get used to it.
One has got nothing to do with the other.
Next thing you know, they're going to shut down the fair, one of the classic fair games.
Shoot the center out of the star, or shoot the star out of the center of the paper.
Right. Yep.
Or the water gun to blow up the balloon.
Yep. Those are the next ones to go. Those are the next ones to go. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. This one isn't really entertainment. It's more kind of just like regular news, but I find it so disturbing and disgusting I have to bring it up. How the hell does a transgender inmate impregnate 2 females in a New Jersey women's only prison?
What the fuck is a transgender inmate doing in a female prison to begin with?
The transgender inmate was in jail for a 30-year manslaughter sentence. Somehow gets put in a women's only prison, impregnates 2 females, and then somehow gets to post on their website. They get a website of their own. They're in prison! They're in prison! How do they get access to having their own goddamn website and posting shit on it after they've done this? in jail for 30 years for manslaughter.
You have no rights when you're in prison.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Frickin' ridiculous.
Sometimes you wonder, you hear stories about homeless people, stories about people who actually want to get arrested so they can get a couple days of free meals, room and board, a bed to sleep in.
Yeah. But
now you get access to your social media pages, I guess.
That is insane. That is dumbass beyond
and then
dumbass.
Meanwhile, because you claim you're a woman, but you still got a dong, you knock up a couple women while you're in prison. There are so many things wrong with this story. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like everything.
So finally, last dumbass, going back to rock and roll. You'll appreciate this, Dave. You and I, we are not the biggest Pink Floyd fans in the world.
Oh, no.
Oh, but Roger Waters thinks he is the shazit. Let me tell you what he said in a Canadian newspaper recently. Roger Waters was not happy about the press coverage in Canada of his current tour.
Wah.
Just so happened within a day or two around when he performed in Canada, Drake and The Weeknd on separate shows both performed roughly in the same area, and they got more press coverage than he did. Now, you and I are classic rock guys.
We are.
We're going to go see Skid Row. We're going to go see Motley Crue before we go see Drake and The Weeknd. But we also are pop culture literate and know that they're very, very popular right now.
I would go see Drake or The Weeknd before I would go see Roger Waters.
But again, quote from Roger Waters in this Canadian newspaper, talking about how he didn't get enough press coverage for his show compared to Drake and The Weeknd. And this is a direct quote. I am far, far, far more important than any of them will ever be.
Oh, you conceited, egotistical dumbass.
I mean, Jesus God.
Yeah.
The Stones on the guy.
Yeah.
You can make your arguments about Pink Floyd and their place in rock history.
But that, dude, you had your time. You are not there any longer.
I mean, far, far, far more important than Drake or The Weeknd.
Not anymore, you're not. Sorry, dude.
I mean, Jesus God. I think that earns him a seat on the plane of doom.
I think it does. Just for absolute stupidity and self-centeredness.
I think what we need to do is lock him in the bathroom, and then we sit there, knock on the door, and go, hello, is there anybody in there? Right before the plane goes down! Because that's what we do on Sports Frenzy. He's the conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Hope you enjoyed the weekend edition.
We'll be back next week, kids.
Review of Kansas live in concert.
The Gray Man as the movie review. And whatever the hell else we come up with.
That's right. Devil's Train. Black Paisley.
Yep.
Alter Bridge.
David Baldacci's Archer novel.
There you go, kids. Preview of next week. But you enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we have given you some guidance.
Yep. What to get to and what to stay away from. And don't forget the vampires on What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, we're off sequence on that. Dave and I are both trying to watch the new season, but I don't want to spoil the episodes for him because I'm one ahead on him.
Yeah, so we got to get in sync here.
And then once we do, we will give you our review.
Yep.
If you're not watching the vampires on FX.
Shame on you.
Yep. All right. That's it. We'll talk to you next weekend, kids. Bye-bye.